All right, welcome back, YouTube. I was down here in the garage this morning, just kind of going through some things, and just had an idea run across my head about something to tie, and I come up with tying that, which is kind of like a little streamer, hourglass eyes, little bitty hook on it. I thought that would work really good for bluegill, so I'm going to show you how I tied that up. Like I said, basically it's kind of like a streamer, but when my dad died, I inherited all of his fishing stuff, and he had boxes and boxes of stuff, and had these little hooks in there. Oh, man, that's a cool hook. I can do something with that. So, let's show you what I came up with. Wasn't hard, pretty simple. Remember how I had it in the vise. All right, I had it. It's like that. Small, it's a little bitty. I don't know what size it is. I don't know the name brand of it. He just had some stuff in little boxes like this. It was on one side and thought I'd put them to use. So let's start out with what I did. And there's a lot of it that's going to be kind of the same as, tying a normal crappie jig. We're going to put just a little bit of glue on that hook to get a good thread base on it. And I'm going to use a different thread than what I used this morning. I used black this morning. Today I'm going to use silver 140 ultra thread. It says blue done on it, but it's, to me, I see silver. So we're going to start right here behind the hook eye. We're going to wrap it all the way down to the hook point, a little bit past probably on this. Go about right there, and we're going to come back up that far from the eye of the hook. We're going to cut that tag end off of it. All right, we're going to use these little hourglass eyes. These are small size, 3/16 diameter. The weight of them, I'm not sure about. I'm guessing probably something like 1/32 maybe. Something between 130. Actually, I don't even know where to guess. It's light. You're going to use this on like 2-pound line, but that right there is where you're getting your weight from, is that set of eyes. Now, if you've never tied a streamer, and I've watched a lot of videos on some other guys that were actually tying flies, do this. And the best way to start those eyes is you're going to go back about 3/4 of the length of that eye to start. You're going to lay that, believe it or not, you're going to start that eye on the hook like that, not turn sideways. So we're going to start wrapping. Then we're going to get to the point where we're going to let it go. Now, it's laying in there crooked. So we're going to hold it up here just to keep it straight. We're going to go like 5 or 6 good wraps on it that way. Now we're going to come back and do it like this. And that'll start to pull those eyes straight. See how they straightened out? And the only thing I'm doing is I'm going to try to keep it up on the shank of that hook. Okay, once you get those eyes secure, well, it's kind of a crappy focus. We're going to wrap them like this. We'll make sure we got them all set. It's anchored in there pretty good. They're a little bit crooked, but we're going to live with it. But that hook's not really straight. That hook's kind of an offset, kind of like a circle hook. So I'm not really working with a perfectly straight hook. I got the point of the hook coming this way, and I got the shank of the hook going that way. So it's kind of like, it reminds me of an offset circle hook, but it don't really have the circle point on it. And we are going to put a little bit of super glue right there on the top of it. And then we're going to give it a couple more wraps to kind of push that super glue down inside all that thread. We're going to leave it like that. I'm not a big fan of using super glue on any of my jigs just because of the fact I put a little drop of super glue in it. Next thing you know, my finger's stuck to it. I got the super glue smeared on the eyes. I don't really like using the super glue. But for this purpose, it's going to help set them eyes up a little bit faster. Using the Sally Hansen's or the hardest hole head cement, it's going to take a little bit longer for it to set up. But using that super glue, it should set up pretty good. So next, I am going to take some rainbow crystal flash, and I'm going to cut off. I'm going to be pretty generous with it. I want it kind of flashy, so I'm going to pinch all the way down here at the end, like kind of almost like if I was pinching off some bucktail. We're going to pull that out. We're going to go not quite as long. Just a little bit past the point of that hook. And what we'll probably end up doing is probably cutting a little bit more and putting it on the other side. So, see, that's what I'm talking about. I got super glue on my thumbs. Didn't even know it. Didn't even know it, and that is the reason I'm not a big fan of using super glue. Okay, we're going to take this right up to the point of that hook. We're going to put a couple loose wraps on it. Now, as I'm pulling up from the other side, that's where I'm going to be tight at. Try to get some of that wrapped up in there. Then we're going to transfer it back over to the back side of the eyes. And we're going to do some loose wraps here just to kind of keep it straight, lined out. We're going to go right back up to the tip. So that is what we got so far. Now we are definitely going to put some on the other side because I was kind of thin on that. I think when I super glued that stuff to my fingers, I dropped some on the floor. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pinch off some for the other side. There's a straggler in there I wanted to get out. So I'm going to push that right to the middle of that hook. In the same way, come up right about the eye of that hook. And we're going to start pulling it down. And we're looking for like we're going to try to make like a cone effect there at the end of it. And we'll roll it back over because I don't like working upside down. We're going to take it out of the vise and see if we can get all that tinsel, that crystal flashlight out a little bit better. So we're going to go right there around the point. We're going to transfer right back around the back of the hook again. And we're going to go just as far as we did with that first batch. We'll come right there and we're going to stop. So that's what we got so far. Now we're going to put in some chenille. I think that's what I tied that one with this morning. That's all I got left, about 13, 14 inches of it. We're going to tie that in. And you could actually stop right there. There's, nothing saying that you had to put this on there. You could have left it all just flashy right there at the tail. But I'm going to go just a little bit flashier with mine. I'm going to get it up there where the eyes are. We're going to crisscross it. We'll pull it up around the tip. We're going to make a couple loops. We're going to wrap it. Come back over. We're going to wrap it again. And we're going to cut that chenille off. Then we are going to do a whip finish on it. And we're going to put some eyes on it. All right, so when I get to the eyes, I'm going to lay it up here sideways. And like I said, I'm not a big fan of the super glue. These have got a sticky back on them. I'm just going to transfer it right over to that eye on that jig head. I'm going to center it up the best I can. Push it down on there nice and snug. We'll flip it back over. Put an eye on this side of it. Squeeze it down good, and then we are going to put some UV resin on it. We're going to resin coat that right there where that thread we did the whip finish, and we're going to put a coat right across those eyes. I'm going to try to get it around underneath there. And I got some in that eye, so we're going to have to eye that hook. So I'm going to end up having to clean that out. I'm going to hit with the UV light here real quick. Bear with me, I'm going to have to dry it. You know, there's a lot of different things you could do with this. You could put hackle feathers in it. Maybe do some brown, some green ones. Maybe do a black body. Kind of go after a grasshopper or cricket look. But all I was looking for was something just to like kind of vertical jig down a rock bank. Bluegill fishing. Or toss it in a bluegill bed, just pull it back and see what happens. It's ugly, there's no doubt about that. I'm not sure if anybody else ties up anything quite like it, but it just looks to me like it would tear up some bluegill. There you go. I'm gonna call this one the Little Ugly. But man, there's a lot of sparkle in it. I couldn't imagine that not catching a bluegill. And like I said, when you're down here in your shop and you're tying, you come up with an idea, tie it, see what it looks like. You know, there might be 100 people laughing at me, can't believe I tied something up like that. But I will put it on the end of my line. I'll test it. I'll try it. I got faith in it. Let me know what you think. And that is all I got. The Little Nasty. Or Little Ugly. It's called the Little Ugly. Like, share, subscribe, hit that bell. Send me a message. Is it not worth fishing? Would you give it a try? Let me know what you think. And if you tie one, send me a picture. Let me know what you come up with. See you, YouTube.